Hi, guys. It's Kristen Gillespie here with Deconstructing Sentience. Another episode interviewing Sperry Andrews. Sperry, we're going to pick right up where we left off from last time. So here we are, diving right in.
Fabulous. Great to be here with you and yours, gorgeousness. And it's every day is Christmas with you.
I love my nickname. Thanks, Spez.
We want to evolve, and we have no other choice but to continue to awaken and evolve, and to incorporate those systems of governance and take over that system of governance as the Iroquois nation, which our Constitution in the United States was based upon, where the tribe honored the sovereignty of the individual and worked to protect the happiness and well-being of the individual. Because if an individual in the tribe were to fall ill or to be unhappy and not have all the advantages that everyone else had in the tribe, then that whole tribe was weakened by that. In the same way that if a cell or cells in our body, heart, and mind are weak or diseased, we become weakened and potentially diseased. And so we want to be fully awake and well and happy and joyful and all loving, because that is the greatest synergistic, way of scintillating and being, where every day is Christmas, like you, dear one.
No.
And so, and we're just being fun because it's all fun and
Yeah.
game in a way. They say life is a game. So, but it's a very serious game at the same time that we can't take ourselves too seriously.
Yeah.
Because it's supposed to be joyful and funny and ridiculous and completely and utterly insanely wild and crazy. And that's why we love movies like that. We want movies that take us into all the slings and arrows of what it is to be a human being. And when we take a vacation from ourselves for 90 to 120 minutes or 3 hours, and we come out the other end feeling like we have been, bathed in all the potential possibilities, and that we feel refreshed and renewed and can start all over again. So, as President, Ronald Reagan said in front of the United Nations that he thought and mused upon the idea, actually, because he was being apprised of the fact that of extraterrestrials. He was the last president that was actually read into what was going on before the CIA and these dark projects took it into this breakaway civilization movement. So they could steal trillions of dollars, create a breakaway civilization, and have more power than any government on earth. And therefore, as a corporate conglomerate, really, as a billionaire club, basically begin to take over the planet and take the planet for themselves, for their own little Garden of Eden. Well, at the same time that they're doing that right now, which is what is really actually happening with all of these ways of suffocating us and controlling us and culling the population to get rid of, as they've written on the Georgia Guidestones. If any of you want to look that up on Google, just go to Georgia Guidestones. They only want about 500 million people, and the rest of us are basically useless eaters to be eliminated. Lo and behold, it's no accident that this insect group, which has about the same values as the power elite at this point, want to come in here and take over our planet, make it their own, and use our precious natural resources. And they look at us as going like we're misusing our precious natural resources. We know, in fact, from the science of it, that we're actually at this point, we need to use about the precious natural resources about 4 or 5 Earths. There's no way we can continue to keep going the way we're going. So we're at a nexus point where we need to wake up. We need to be more responsible. We need to access and gain access to infinite free energy. The fact that we can make things out of nothing. We can have food replicators so we don't have to use up the earth, the minerals, or the ecosystem of the earth. We can allow animals and plants to flourish and do whatever they feel like doing too, as free-spirited life. And the more we do that as spirited beings, we will be recognized by other extraterrestrials as being all loving and nurturing, as they have learned to do, because they used to be 3D at one stage. They ascended into these levels of telesomatic, unity consciousness, where each member of a particular extraterrestrial species has transparent access to everyone in their species. So each individual has naturally evolving a neurophysiological psychology, which is informed by the combined intelligence of everyone in their race. And so we're, in a sense, in a race with the power elite, with the insectoids coming to kill us, and to wake up and learn to use the weapons that protect us militarily through the Space Force that has been opened, that has actually been online for several decades, actually going back to the 50s. And so we're going to learn a lot of lessons here coming, and we're at that pivot point right now, is what my research tells me as a researcher of human consciousness who's been at this for a lifetime, really, since 1955, and as a dedicated professional scientist for 45 years through my institute. So I'll hand that one over to you.
Well, I just want to say, Sperry, I'm so grateful for your contribution to humanity, and to have your fuses blown open at such a young age paved the way for your expanse of your own consciousness, and you being able to do that is what allows me to be able to do that too, because it's contagious. It's that emotional contagion, but also it's light contagion as well. And I want to just touch on that aspect, that it's potency, it's quality, not quantity. So each of us who are able to awaken and achieve that expansive state of perhaps being a match to 5D consciousness or beyond, that is in itself rectifying out of balance frequency, if you will, for the collective. And we are so much more potent than literally thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of others who are not yet able to hold that amount of light. So I think that's really key, because that really inspires me. And you reminded me that this is supposed to be fun, but it can feel so serious and urgent. And recently in my reality, I felt a sense of do or die, life or death. It's almost like impinging doom kind of come over me. And I think that is in the collective right now, because we're at this nexus point you spoke about, because of the choice points that we are making that are literally crucial, because of the potency we hold. We're manifesting those timelines so quick now, and it's impossible to kind of prophesize or even begin to guess exactly what's going to happen, because they're oscillating so quickly. Everything's at such a highly charged extreme, if you will, in the energetic field that we're communing with, that we are every second of every day. But it is actually that which catalyzes the disintegration. So the integration is what catalyzes the disintegration of all of the old hierarchical structures. Celebrity isn't going to exist anymore in 5D structure. Everything's going to be merit-based. This is what I'm feeling into. This is what I choose to co-create as my future. And, you talked about the monarchy and all of the corrupt governmental systems and big pharma, and the push to literally force us, if you will, down an artificial path, right? Religious institutions and organizations play a big role in this as well. All of that is crumbling and all of that is disintegrating. And I just want to say that word again, because it's the opposite of integrate, which is what actually it's literally forming and guiding us towards. And so that's the double-edged nature of reality, double-edged sword nature of reality, I suppose I'm trying to say. So that's actually catalyzing the cosmic galactic evolution that you spoke of, right? And that's an organic process. That is just, if we allow that cooperation to occur, that is what fuels any organic evolution, right? In the words of Bruce Lipton and all of his wonderful work, it's cooperation, not competition. And we've been programmed to compete. We're coming from the lens of scarcity and lack when we do that, because we never have enough and we have to get for ourselves. And it's the opposite of that dismantles the old system completely and allows us to embrace that natural step, that cosmic evolution. And I do believe that being in full contact with our emotions leads to contact experience. So the more that we can integrate the negative emotions, if you will, learn to achieve the PowerPoint and paradox, where we're feeling the fullness of them and listening for the messages and allowing them. And we stop being a prejudiced culture who only wants to have certain vibrational experiences and not others. And we start to merge all of that. That is inviting contact experience. That has happened certainly in my life, where I am now in a very clear connection. I have a very clear channel to my guidance system. My guides, I mentioned the Pleiades, but it goes on, the Cassiopeans. I'm also able to access simultaneous lifetimes. I'm also able to access multiple points on the quantum grid that I exist on in this big splat out now moment, because time is but an illusion and we are all that is as presence. So yeah, I just want to make that link between our sentience and cooperation, paving the way to galactic evolution. And you're right. If we're not able to reconcile our lower sort of vibrational issues, and we continue to fight against each other, to turn against each other, to perpetuate that autoimmune dis-ease of attacking ourselves, right? Because that's all it is the body attacking itself. Then we're not ready to deal with what's out there, right? I heard it said that, they think of us like cattle. Well, why would we take offense to that when we go and eat the cows? So, yeah, there's a lot of work to be done. I know it's an organic process. Again, I said I can get too big for my britches and want it all done now, because I just want to live in this more compassionate world that we both share the vision of. And I want to co-create that for my children so that they can experience that loving humanity, so that they can experience that cooperation that is so key, and giving them, all the space in the world to create. So they're not stuck in 9-to-5 roles, and they don't have to get a mortgage, a death gauge. And, they don't have to spend most of their life sorting out their ancestral traumas. We'll create less traumatized children who will create less traumatized children. And on we go. And the galactic stuff and all of that that's in our future will naturally unfold in a way that isn't threatening, in a way that is loving, and in a way that feels safe and secure and, exciting for us all, because we're all here to expand, right? We're always here to expand. I feel like there's just literally one gauge. And are you moving towards expansion in life? Or are you moving towards entropy and death? So I guess it goes back to those choice points where every single choice we make, is it a harmonious choice? Is it a coherent choice? Is it heart-brain coherence, right? Are you resonating with that decision, or is there something dissonant about it? Your feelings will be telling you. And, when we are often programmed by the media, programmed to assault. We're charged by the mainstream narrative, and we turn against those who might be promoting something else. We're just perpetuating the dystopian timeline. And, it's just an invitation to everybody to be so cautious, careful, and considered and reflective about the choices that you make right now, because it could really, really make a massive difference on your immediate future.
Well, I understand the sense that we go like, if we do this, then that, and to be afraid of what we might cause if we don't do this, X, Y, Z or something that is good compared to something that would be, ignorant or an exercise of our immature innocence. Well, I feel that because, as we said earlier, that just go ahead and make a mistake, because it's not gonna be the exactly right thing anyway, and then learn from your mistakes.
Yeah.
So that what we want to cultivate, I'd say, is rather, is this ability to have faith in ourselves, and faith in the divine, faith in life, faith in the absolute indivisible unity of this non-existent existence, which is so, metaphysically elusive, because form and formlessness, as the Zen people say, is one without a second. And it's the phase transition between form and formlessness, these two radically different opposites. It's that transition like between water and ice, or water and vapor, that is consciousness. It's what interconnects form and formlessness, is this medium of consciousness, of self-aware awakeness, that unites, this dichotomy of death and life as a unity. And so in that context, we know that, and have been told by the ETs themselves, and know from our own depths, that from, including what other ETs have shared, that have been living here on this planet with us for thousands of years. They say they, of course, feel that we are indivisible from them. We're part of their karmic structure. They cannot ascend without our ascension. So that's why they're living here on this planet, because they're feeling us. They don't want to interfere with our free will, because they know that our development requires the exercising of and discovering of our free will, and how we can be free-spirited and joyful and all-loving, and that you can't push that river. They say, if you find the Buddha on the road, there's a book to that title, Kill the Buddha if you meet the Buddha on the road. So the idea that don't adhere to the truth of even a Buddha. Become your own teacher. Have faith in yourself. Yes, learn from your mistakes, but make mistakes and move forward, and go be in a process of small self and large S and no self discovery continuously, a trillion times a second. Be fully alive. That's what the life force is that recreation of creation. That is the change that awareness ensures, that awareness requires of all that can change. And so these ETs that, they want the best for us, they're not going to let us get annihilated. They're going to come in and help protect us from the insectoids. Yet they know that our suffering is also part of our learning, as it is indivisibly part of theirs, because we are indivisible from them. And so, because they want us to awaken, they have allowed the archons to be here all these years, enslaving us, fomenting all these wars, allowing all these bankers to fund both sides of these wars in which millions of us are murdered, and starved to death. So, by communist leaders like Stalin and Pol Pot and all this kind of thing. So we have been allowed to go through hell personally and socially for very purposive reasons. Ultimately, to realize that there is no death, suffering is an illusion. We're not who we think we are, and we always were spiritually free. We always were love itself, together and indivisibly, and as this incomparably, infinitely unique void, this absence which is giving rise to our presence, which is causing us to be never the same way twice. And so everything is taken care of. It's extremely exciting and wondrous that all of this full spectrum can be embraced wholeheartedly, and that we don't have to go hide in the closet or behind a bush somewhere. We can meet it head on and be a hero and heroine for ourselves, and learn how to be that strong, that to face the dragon, whether we die or live, to save the fair fellow or damsel in distress, our children and one another. This is a game here. It's like a big video game where we die and then instantaneously we come back to life and we keep going in the game. I taught my son that, who's now 33, when he first came to really live with me for a few years. He was always playing these video games as a way of anchoring himself and giving himself some way of acting out his angst and his helplessness and his powerlessness to learn to be powerful and to win the game. I said, son, killing and being killed by people in this video game is no different than life. Life is like a video game, and you need to play the game of life and to live and die and be born again and realize you're not who you think you are or what you think you're doing, and be humbled by your own ignorance and innocence and personal and collective, the insanity of humanity. Let yourself be humbled and grow, dear one.
Yes, to remain teachable is to remain reachable, isn't it? And you said it so well, is like that which we aspire to experience is already here. It's already here. It's already present. We're just remembering. We're just breaking down the blocks, deconstructing the illusion that makes us feel we're different from it, apart from it, or a long way away from it, some way, somehow. So that gives me so much hope. That helps feed that unshakable faith that we talked about earlier. That is so key. And faith is everything to me. It's at the core of my daily existence. Faith in the universe, to always be serving humanity's highest good. All those mistakes that we're making all the time, all the steps that we take are actually perfect in a sense in helping us disintegrate that which is not real and remember the love that we truly are. So I'm going to try to bring it to a bit of a close, Spez, because I know we didn't want this to go on and on. Is there anything else you wanted to add or touch on before we
I think pretty
finish
much touched on most of the bases. Our next interview, we can explore what we agreed upon as our third step into, our actual intimacy with ourselves and what that we share with one another. That is, we found so challenging, which has been such a big source of pain and conflict and murder. Someone falls in love with someone else, or someone, kills the husband or wife and steals the spouse of that person for themselves, and then there's just mayhem, and there are generations and generations of this kind of murdering each other's children and mothers and fathers in order to get even with the other tribe. And it's an absolute insanity. And it's all over the fact that it seems to me that we're very, we feel so out of control when we get out of our heads and we make that great journey, as it said, it's the greatest journey of all, from the head to the heart. And we go further and we integrate our heart with our body and our bodies. And we say, wait a minute, there's only one of us. There's only one body, heart, and mind. And how do we share the one body, heart, and mind we are without becoming jealous and cuckoo to the point where we feel, like at some level where we feel most out of control, that which is non-verbally sensed and felt as reptiles and as mammals, and this new brain that is verbal, analytic, and conceptual, going like, that's not right. It should be this way. You have to pay the price of doing that because you did that. And oh my God, we have to get through that, because as I understand, the extraterrestrial races and also some of the most advanced psychics that I know have envisioned the fact that the future of humanity is very much more polyamorous, where we love each other equally, intimately, in every possible way. And the new generation coming in are living that way and exploring that now in high schools and so forth. And it's really very beautiful to me. I've lived in the Zeg community, Z period, E period, G period, G period, which founded one of its communities in what was had been a training ground for the SS, so the horror of the SS in Germany when it was under Hitler. And when the Berlin Wall came down, they were able to buy it and create and perpetuate this community they had started years before, which is exploring how we're all spiritual friends. We can all love one another as equally. And in the Zeg community, which I lived in for a month, a couple of times in 2 different years, about a year apart, during their summer school, apparently, or what's it called? Summer something. And you meet all these people that come there from all over the world. Some of them, you don't know who they're with from one day to the next. Others who are completely, monogamous and have children together, but they're totally happy about everybody else being non-monogamous. Many of the children have chosen in the community to live in their own house together, away from their parents, so they are free to do that. And it's really an extraordinary community. They extended that into Portugal. They have a community there. They have 200 city centers around Europe, centers in the Canary Islands. And, it's not an accident that in Europe, where if you went 10 miles beyond where you grew up, you were considered a foreigner for the rest of your life. You were never accorded the respect that other people who were indigenously born in a particular locale, because they didn't know your family. They didn't know you from birth, and they didn't know your parents. So people didn't want to move around. They didn't want to change their locale. And now in the world where we have broken down the tribal consciousness, we're, as heroes and heroines, as individuals, we've gone beyond our indivisibility as a tribe and are exploring how to be incomparably unique each moment. In some sense, what we've found is how isolating and self-isolating and alone we are, and how insurvivable that is. We don't want to be separate from one another. And so now we've reached an apogee, like a rock thrown up in the world, or in the air, or a rocket that goes up has to come down again. We have to go back into tribal society, having learned what we've learned about being indivisible individuals, and share that indivisibility on a tribal level, where the Eskimos, who, if you came, in order to survive being an Eskimo, the Eskimos train their children, as do some families in India train their children to be like Vishnu or a god. The Eskimos train their children in order to survive these most extreme inclement conditions in the far north. They treat their children to tell that they will do whatever their children ask. So if they're on a snow sled in a blizzard, and the child sees a dead seagull in the snow, and it starts crying like, "Oh no, I want to play with the dead seagull." Even though the parents know that's disgusting, what are you going to go play with a dead seagull's for? The parents, if they're good parents, as it said in Eskimo religion, you stop in the middle of the blizzard. It's extremely dangerous to do that. You build the igloo right there. You do exactly what your child asks of you to do. So the children can vicariously learn through you what it takes to survive that decision. Now, in the same way that, of course, little children make terrible mistakes, as we have, Eskimo children will make terrible mistakes that maybe their parents wouldn't survive. But those parents who can survive the decisions of their children, and really, let's be honest, deep down, we're all still children. And we're all still children together. And we're making terrible mistakes that may be unsurvivable. But if we can come together and be intimately embodied and love each other equally as we love ourselves and we love the ones we love the most, if we can learn to do that, we will gradually, not immediately, it's not an immediate requirement, but gradually, ever so gradually, we will perhaps, I think that's the future that's been envisioned by psychics and has been advocated and suggested by ETs, that, we all become each other's lover. And that would be a very beautiful world to live in, because the vegetables that we eat become us. They want to become human as we want to become like vegetative consciousness. In a way, what we've lost touch with is our vegetative roots. We love trees. We love the fact that trees and plants and the vegetables that we eat are rooted in the soil of the earth. And by eating those things, we become in resonance with that primordial health and well-being that vegetables know about, that we become so detached with or disconnected from and unconscious of by running around on 2 feet. So let's get planted again. We can be still, we can be silent in perpetuity at the same time that we're being noisy and raucous and dancing till our socks fall off. So, let's be lit up and turned on and go beyond what we've ever known how to be.
Yeah, and transform those worst case scenarios into the best things that ever happened to us, right? We can survive heartbreak and make our way to that ecstatic polyamorous experience that you just talked about and spoke to so well. Right, Sperry, did you touch on that enough, or do you want to go on to a next episode? How do you feel? Because you went into pretty good detail about it.
Yeah, I think we pretty much handled that. If we want
Yeah. And next time we'll discuss what's going on right now, the nitty gritty, the specific details, and hopefully help you navigate your way through it as we're learning from each other how to do the same. Bye for now, guys.
Yeah. Farewell, lovely ones.